welcome to the Fourth Estate, your number one current affairs program, where we take a review of happenings around Nigeria and the world from the media perspective. My name is Folashade Oguride, and this morning we'll be reviewing some issues: Ruga policy, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, and how the federal government can finally solve the problem of farmers and herdsmen clash. The second issue we're looking at is what is happening to the cabinet list of President Muhammad Buhari. And the third issue is Senator Elisha Abe, representing Adamawa North Senatorial District, who assaulted a nursing mother, has apologized. However, Senate police PDP to investigate him. And finally, on the show today, rowdy session in House of Representatives over composition of minority officers. Speaker names Elumelu Adeshegun, others as principal officers. All this and more after the break. Welcome back to the show, The Fourth Estate. Like I said before the break, we have lots of interesting issues to discuss. But of course, I'm not the only one in the studio today. I have with me notable guest. I have with me Mr. Olayinka Adagun. He's a journalist. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, many thanks for honoring our invitation today. And also have with me Mr. Osad Director. He's a lawyer and a journalist. How are you?
I'm okay. It's good to be back again.
All right, let's begin with the discussion about Ruga policy, the National Livestock Transformation Plan, and how the federal government can finally solve the problem of farmers and herdsmen clash. Now, I'll begin this discussion with this question. It was reported, this morning across national dailies that the Ruga policy plan has been suspended. Now, the NEC released a statement saying that that there was no correlation between the suspension of the Ruga policy was due to the lack of consistency of the program with the NEC-approved National Livestock Transformation Plan. So that means we have the National Livestock Transformation Plan, and we also have the Ruga. Now, what exactly would you say the difference is? I would refer this question to Mr. Adagun.
I think the sudden, or what I call it, the sudden U-turn on the Ruga policy, the rural grazing area program of the federal government, is just an indication of what we have been going through in governance in this country in the past 20 years of the return to democracy. So the government always shows that it does not carry people along in its programs. Now you want to go on the back on the program. Nobody knows anything about it. Even the media that has to play the human role of educating and enlightening members of the public. You have not brought them together to say, this is what we mean by Ruga. Yes, it's just a demonstration of government's...
Is there even a clear definition of acronym
Ruga? I think the acronym will be taken for rural grazing area.
Okay.
Ruga. But the question is it new? Is this a new thing? Is it a new effort? Herdsmen not been grazing their cattle before now. You want something new? Carry the people along. But in governance in Nigeria, it's just a hangover of the military rule. This overbearing presence. Yes, this is what we want. Let's lord it over the people. People are always, in the dark about what the government wants to do. And naturally, there will be a lot of uninformed reactions to that policy. Now, when you talk of Ruga, we're talking about land. And if in any part of the world, land, particularly ancestral land, means a lot to the people. When you look at most conflicts all in Nigeria and outside Nigeria, even between the Israelis and Palestinians, you find out what's at the center, land. So why did the government not tell Nigerians, this is what we intend to do, for so reason. Bring them to a stakeholder meeting. Let everybody be aware of your intention. Not just lord it to us. Now that it said we heard that it has been suspended, you have not had the last of it. What if it goes behind under another name again? And it's
Because that seems to be the fear of most Nigerians.
Yes.
Because according to some public opinion, some people felt that, according Afenifere stated it this morning that it's not just a question of suspension,
Yes.
that could be another venue to bring up another. But that's why I asked the question: what exactly do you think could be the difference between the National Livestock Transformation Plan and the Ruga policy? And I would want Mr. Oster Director to give me your thoughts on this.
Yeah, the truth is that the National Livestock Transformation Program is an initiative of the National Economic Council headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. They came up with a 10-year plan starting from June, it was presented June 2018 to June 2027. They are estimated to spend 179 billion naira for the 10-year period. The federal government and state government are supposed to do the first intervention in the first 3 years, spending 79 billion, by which time they would have gotten a buy-in of private investors to spend 100 billion over the next 7 years. This was approved by the Federal Executive Council, and essentially it is a program that took into consideration both the aggressor, the so-called aggressor, and the victims. That is talking of the herders and the farmers into consideration. It was a conflict resolution mechanism which also encompasses resettlement, rehabilitation, and compensation of displaced farmers, in the sense that it's not only herders that are brought into this program of NLTP, that's National Livestock Transformation Program. It will also involve compensating the farmers who have lost properties in the previous clashes that took place, as a way of calming frayed nerves. However, unlike the NLTP, Ruga, like my colleague had initially said, is really unknown. No policy has been brought before Nigerians as regard what the concept of Ruga is all about. So it was just like throwing a kite out there, and what people now believe is that Ruga is about the concept of land grabbing, taking people's ancestral land and giving it to herdsmen, to settle. Of course, I have made this point clear before, that going by the Land Use Act, the governors of state are vested with the ownership of land held in trust on behalf of the people. So you cannot really appropriate land to yourself in any part of the country without the approval and consent of the governor. So what we are now saying is that what the basic difference is that NLTP is a policy conceived by National Economic Council and approved by the Federal Executive Council. It's a 10-year program which will, at the end of the day, involve both the government and the private sector. A total of 179 billion to be spent. The first 3 years, 79 billion by the state government, the federal government, and then you get the buy-in of investors to spend the 100 billion. But the Ruga program has not been able to present anything before Nigerians as regards what it's all about, and it's not driven by the VP's office, because he came and issued a disclaimer. He issued a disclaimer to that. So it is driven by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, which for now does not even have a substantive head, since we don't have a minister yet. We can only assume that it's driven by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture based on the signpost that was placed in a particular land in Benue that is for the purpose of Ruga. And I think maybe we'll go to that later. I think it was ill-conceived and ill-timed, in the sense that you just have people who are being traumatized over attacks here and there. They still have mutual suspicion, and then you are just coming without settling them first to say you now want to take their land and get some people settled there.
But besides the fact that the NLTP, that's National Livestock and Transformation Plan, was properly commissioned by the Nigerian government, but one similarity I think I would notice is the fact that for the NLTP, it's still the same allocation of land in different parts of the country.
Yeah, the difference is that NLTP is anchored on the principle of ranching, which is a modern way of
Not
category. You see, because when you say ranching, they are going to, this money that is going to be spent by the federal government is going to be given out as loans to the herders, to kickstart, which means it's something that they are going to pay back. Unlike Ruga, where you are just taking the land and giving it free, for the herders to settle. And in that case, you are even saying it is a kind of displacement, a population displacement, because it's going to change the demography of that particular area, in the sense that you said they will settle there, build schools, hospitals, it's like a settlement within a settlement, But when you say ranching is an economic policy which NLTP is proposing. You get a loan from the NLTP program, and you go and get a ranch. You use that loan to also apply to the state following the process for land allocation, and you'll be giving. If you are not giving, you move to somewhere else and apply. But Ruga is like what has been termed as forceful takeover, in the sense that whether you like it or not, we say, oh, we like this whole particular hectares of land, it is taken, and then we are settling people here. But this issue of NLTP is no. We are advancing loan to recognized and certified herders, and even farmers who were displaced, or who were injured, or who lost property in the clashes. Then you go embark on ranching. We will support you in the ranching process by creating an enabling environment, hospitals, schools, roads, and all the rest. But the land you are going to apply to the various state or local governments, for you to be given to carry out your ranching process. So it's an economic model. But people are suspicious of the Ruga model because they believe that there's an underlying political motive.
And of course, to interrupt you there, in the news today it was reported that the Arewa youths, gave the president an ultimatum to ensure that Ruga is indeed implemented.
Such anomalies only happen where those at the head of powers themselves don't understand where the idea. Who are the northern youths? Was it only their votes that brought the president in? Why should they continue giving ultimatum to the government? I think sometimes the fourth estate itself accords undue prominence to those who should just be shut out of the system. And
Professor Wole Soyinka made a statement, was reported yesterday. He said that, this Ruga policy could cause mayhem in the country.
Because it is seen as a ploy to take over land from somebody and give it to another person who have been thought to be strangers in their community. And you know how our people all run to land. Even in Lagos, where land is diamond, you know how much we value land. And you look at it this way. If you take the land from a particular part of a state, though you cannot do it without the consent of the governor. If people of the state have threatened their governor, you don't buy into Ruga. And if he ends up buying, or you try to ram it on him, how are you going to put them? How are you going to ensure the safety of those who are going to stay there to breed their cattle?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dago. Let's see how this story unfolds with, this new continuing policy.
You have not had the last of it.
Definitely. So let's move on now to the second issue of the day, which is what is happening to the cabinet's list of President Muhammadu Buhari. There was a delay in the first tenure. The second tenure, we're experiencing another delay. And, some people feel that these delays could cause economic hardship, with regards to, those who are in charge of certain things not being put in place as soon as possible. What do you think is happening, Mr. Osa? Why are we having these delays?
Well, the first time it was 6 months delay. So far, it's just 1 month now. After it's
so we shouldn't panic.
We shouldn't. We shouldn't panic, really. But that's not to say that it couldn't be done faster. We've seen some other climbs in South Africa here, so that we don't go too far. Just in 3 days after he was sworn in, he had his cabinet, and I expect that for a man like President Muhammadu Buhari, who has been a former head of state, and he has spent 4 years now, and he contested for this election 4 times. He got it at the 4th time. This is his 5th appearance. So he should really have a team in place that that he can hit the ground running. But I also think or suspect that since he felt that, like he was quoted to have said this morning in the papers, that his performance in the power sector is not good enough, it's an admission of the fact that the first term really still left much to be desired, and he wants to really perform better. So he's been perhaps tactical in scrutinizing those he's going to bring in. And like I said, he was sworn in May 29. Most of us are calculating from February 23rd when the election took place. Yes, he actually knew that he was the
now let's
president.
use the power sector as an example. Of course, Nigeria has always been, grappling with issue of, electricity and stuff like that. But now, you mentioned that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, said, the power sector didn't perform optimally. Now, I'm curious to know, for example, you appoint, someone who is very qualified, a very brilliant chap as the Minister of Power. Now, beyond just appointing someone, I think it's beyond appointments, because if you don't have, no matter how brilliant you are, if you don't have the tools to achieve your aims and objectives, exactly. I mean, what exactly? So I think, what are your thoughts on it, Mr. Adagu? I think you understand my point.
That's your point, but let's start from the beginning. You see, we're talking about the delay in nominating a cabinet. Sometimes in this country, and most time in these countries, immediately, even before elections, many people run just for running sake. The moment they get the position, they got the electoral victories, that's the end. At that time, you are not the owner of yourself again. There are many forces you have to pander to. The parties, in quote, the godfathers. You have your own team. You want to bring it. You have to think of stuff. You have a very awkward federalism in place. You have to pander to all those things, and that's enough. To make you appear unthinking or unserious, or as is popularly branded in the media, clueless. You look at it this way. When people were voting for Buhari in 2015, you were told they were voting for the same Buhari that hijacked the power in 1984. And then he was a soldier. As a soldier, he was not bound to obey, because the first casualties suspend the constitution. You could do all those things that you could change the nation's currency at will, without consulting anybody. But this is democracy. He has to pander to so many. Somebody will say, okay, no, don't bring this person. He has not helped our party, so he cannot represent our states. And when you look at the list being circulated now, you find that we have a lot of usual recycling of names. Are we saying there are no other people that can do it better? And when you are going to pick maybe 36 people from multitudes of Nigerians, it poses a challenge. But if you are sure of yourself and you know what you want, you can tell your party leader, this is what I want. But that's not possible now. Maybe we may have to wait till January next year. Don't worry.
No, I'm not sure we'll get to January because I think the list is already in the National Assembly. Okay. I think the list is already there. No, not the one that's been banned. I mean, those are media.
Could the lobbying be the cause for delay? Because
yeah, it's possible people would naturally lobby.
Those are
the people would naturally lobby. But like everyone close to the president will always tell you that the man will keep paying the list to his chest. But those who have been grilled by the security agencies already know that they've been penciled for such appointment, and they can also leak it out to the press.
All right, let's move on to the third issue of the day, which is Senator Elisha Abbo, representing Adamawa North Senatorial District, who assaulted a nursing mother, has apologized. Senate police PDP to investigate him. The story broke out early this week about released CCTV footages of a man, a senator, who assaulted, and I think an attendant in a shop.
In a sex toy shop.
Yeah, in a shop in Abuja. In Abuja.
Okay, in the shop in Abuja.
Exactly. And there was.
Who is afraid of the word sex?
No.
There was media outcry with regards to the assault. you know, he really beat her, and you know, thank God for the power of social media. You know, the footages were, you know,
went viral.
It went viral, yeah.
and you know, people wondered why a senator in Abuja would. As a matter of fact, according to reports, he told the police, his own police officer, the police, maybe it's one of his guard or something, to arrest the woman. Now he has come out to apologize. However, the Senate, the PDP, are saying that the police is also saying that they would investigate. Now let's take a look at the Nigerian situation where people of higher ranking feel, you know, they can unleash, you know, terror on the Nigerians.
I think sometimes
what would you think could be the reason why
we place too much expectation on those who elect public offices, forgetting that first and most importantly, they are human beings like us. And many of them have their shortcomings. You see, what happened in that shop could have happened between any other Nigerian and the woman. It would not have become a big noise. But it became a big noise because the Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is expected to have some clout that some things will not be linked with him. Now it has happened. The man has come out to say he was sorry. Well, fine. To err is human. But then the law must take its course.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dagon. Speaking of, you know, decorum, this next story is about the rowdy session in House of Representatives over composition of minority officers. Speaker names Elumelu Adeshegun, others as principal officers. Now, you know, the national dailies, you know, have pictures of, you know, the House officers guiding the mace. And you know, during when I read through that story, I felt very sad, because of course the mace signifies authority.
Yeah.
So why has it become a tradition in the Nigerian House of Representatives for, you know, members to steal the mace during any argument or during any issues? Or why should we even have fracas in that honorable house?
There will always be fracas. I think I've been this. And don't forget, in those days of military incursion into politics, the first thing they do was suspend the constitution, and that's the supreme document. And the first symbol of disorder in the house of an incoming fracas is remove the mace. Without the mace, there's no order, there's no power. Then let the IAs or the thugs have it.
But don't you think that, you know, shows? I mean, it's really not a good thing for the Nigerians.
It still comes back to us, the electorate, the kind of people who sent to represent us.
Yeah, but I think
get the kind of leaders they deserve.
Yeah, but they also, like you know, we've noted, since it makes it the symbol of authority, once it is taken away, whatever is done is null and void. It's of no effect and no consequence. But the truth is also that I also wasn't impressed by the conduct of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila. I mean, it's unprecedented what he did. You know, he tried to, I watched it on television. His argument was not sound in law or sound in practice or grounded in practice of the House. You know, when people are picking their minority officers, it is left to the minority parties. It's not for members or caucuses within the House, you know, who are loyal to you, who are your friends, to suggest and write names on pieces of paper and pass on to you. The PDP, which is the largest opposition party, wrote a list and he discountenanced that list. That is not fair. That is not fair. Although I can see that, you know, Elumelu, who has been said to be the factional minority leader, now went to the BOT chairman. Well, I don't know what happened, and the BOT chairman of PDP is saying they will support them and all that. But I think Gbajabiamila, in my estimation, did not conduct the business of the day in a way and manner that it was done before he became speaker. Unlike the Honorable Chinda, who was nominated by the party for that position, said that just yesterday the Senate did their own, and we saw the precedent, we saw the practice, the principle that they followed. So why do you want to do something else? And the answer he gave to me was pedestrian.
Which was?
No, he said it is of no effect that he has a list and he has to read it.
But don't you think what can the aggrieved people do? What do you think could be the solution on their own end?
No, but I don't know
minority.
Because I'm not a political seer. But the truth is that if care's not taken, you are really going to have different camps. You know, you are going to have two minority leaders, Chinda on one side and Elumelu on the other side, and
one will be legitimate.
Yeah, no. Who is legitimate?
Yes.
Because Gbajabiamila pronounced him. What you see, there's a principle in law. You can't build something on nothing. USCR Mark 4. You know, what if it is proven that the process and the procedure that Gbajabiamila used in arriving in pronouncing the name is not the procedure that is according to the rules of the house? Then he has achieved nothing by announcing those names. So you cannot say that they are legal because the proper procedure was not followed.
All right, any final thoughts on this, Mr. Adago?
What I think is you can't go on mouthing democracy. Let its values be upheld. Let us live up to say that, okay, we have something to show for democracy. In the past 20 years, when are we going to stop having fracas and the House in the House of Representatives and the Senate? The green and the red chambers are supposed to be inhabited by people of high moral rectitude. But what do we have now? Sometimes a crisis of somebody not being upright enough to even be in the chamber. And we have not been able to solve this in the past.
We've even had footage of honorables throwing chairs at each other.
Yeah, but
sometimes when I see such footages, I begin to wonder.
No, but I wouldn't say that. You see, it's like
is that normal? Is that a reflection of our society?
You have just said it. The reflection of the society. Was those we are talking about are members of that society. And it's always difficult for you to rise above your society. It's always difficult.
That's true.
Because, okay, you are talking about a policeman being an orderly to a senator, and he was asked by his principal to arrest somebody. So is that what should be? Must he take orders from his principal? Even what
unlawful orders
has to do is not part of his functions.
Exactly, and let me end this session with this, that the Nigerian police, one of their primary functions is to protect the Nigerian citizens. So you as a police officer assaulting someone on instructions of a senator is quite sad, but we need to call it a wrap on the program. Many thanks, Mr. Adago, for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
And many thanks, Mr. Outside Director, for coming.
Thank you very much.
I hope we've enjoyed this session of Fourth Estates. Oh, many thanks for joining us on the program today. Let's see us. Sorry, let me take the outro again. Many thanks for joining us on the program today. See you again next time. I'm Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.